Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Ringside Ramblers podcast. I'm Alex, and I'm joined on this episode by Alfonso. And for this episode, we will be talking about the career of Bryan Danielson. And we will be running down the top 5 moments from his amazing career. So, obviously, Bryan Danielson has just dropped the AEW World Championship back at AEW Wrestle Dream to John Moxley, and he said that when he lost his next match that he would retire. Now we're pretty sure this isn't a full retirement; it's probably a semi-retirement. But it got us thinking about some of the great moments from an amazing career of arguably the GOAT of the past 15 or 20 years in wrestling. Easily one of the best in-ring performers of the past 15 or 20 years. What an amazing wrestler Bryan Daniel is. Hugely respected by fans and his peers. So, Alfonso, welcome to the show. And are you ready to ramble?
I'm ready to ramble, but this was very, very hard because there are so many matches, so many promos, so many moments that he created during his career. Like, if you really truly get like a moment just to see some of these moments back, you're going to see why he was the GOAT. It's like watching Kurt Angle again during the Attitude Era, you know? He makes things fun. He makes great matches. He makes great moments, and then you have also the segments, and that's great about him. And Brian Danielson is one of the goats for sure, for a lot of things, and it's very sad to see him retire. But like we said before, I think it's going to be a semi-retirement because he's going to get like a neck operation, maybe. Let's hope, and so he can have more time with his family.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a miracle that he was wrestling this year because he was retired in 2016. So, yeah, I mean, amazing, amazing wrestler. And it's very, very hard to pick top 5 moments from his career. So, we'll give it a go. So, I'll go first, Alfonso. And I will
Okay.
start with a moment from his Ring of Honor days. And that was actually his final match in ROH all the way back in 2009 versus his great rival, Nigel McGuinness. Now, I picked this moment because I think Danielson was at ROH from 2002 to 2009, and he was a cornerstone of that company, I think. Like, when you think of ROH legends, you think of Danielson, and you also think of Nigel McGuinness, who was a great rival of Danielson on ROH, and they just had some amazing matches and like a 2-3 year rivalry where the story was that McGuinness wanted to be known as the best in the world and wanted to take everything from Bryan, and they just produced magic in the ring, like the chemistry. You don't find it that often, chemistry that good where two guys just clicked and they could fight
And you
forever
know, and
almost.
you know what's incredible? I went a little bit back from you. You went to
Oh, go on.
2009. I went to the first one, 2006, ROH
Ah,
Unified, where they did a epic title unification match, and I think that was one of the first RO, ROH matches I have seen in my life.
yeah, I mean, ROH is not a big brand. It was always an indie like type show, but like so many great wrestlers came up from ROH. You had Seth Rollins, CM Punks, Danielson, obviously, Finn Balor, I think, and Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, all came from ROH. So like back in the 2000s, ROH had some hot wrestling, and no hotter than Danielson versus McGuinness for me. So if there are fans out there who've never watched any of these matches or this feud, please go and check it out because it really is great stuff. So interesting that we both had an ROH one as our first choice.
Yeah.
So
And
my next choice.
yeah.
Now, this is a bit controversial because it's not actually a moment, a specific moment. I'm cheating a little bit and I'm going for a specific run. And I'm talking
Ooh.
about Save the Planet heel Daniel Bryan, WWE champion.
I also have that one from 2018 to 2019. I
No
think
way.
I think that is one of the greatest Daniel Bryan characters that he has done. He was so much fun, and he was so good as a villain. And like, I love the promos, I love the title, like the hemp title. And because of that character, he gave us Coffee Mania. Like, without that, we don't have Coffee Mania. And I think that is one of the best work in Brian career.
Completely agree with you, Alfonso. This because Daniel Bryan is an amazing babyface because he plays the everyman, the underdog so well. But this run as WWE champion, like you said, with the hemp championship, the wooden championship, because he was saving the planet. This run shows just how good Daniel Bryan is as a heel, and his promo, how good his promos are, and how underrated he was at promos. Because yeah, he would just he he'd come back from neck surgery, and everybody just loved him and loved the fact he was back. And within 2 years, he was this despicable, despised heel, which shows how great he really is. And yeah, if he's not opposite Kofi, we don't get that amazing match, and we don't get Kofi Mania. So yeah, what an amazing little run for Daniel Bryan as the
And
go on.
yeah. He was a great villain. He was a great heel, and it's very funny because when you think about that, he didn't said anything wrong. Like, saving the planet is a good thing, but because WWE is a crazy fucking place, he was a heel. You know?
It doesn't make sense, does it? Because he's doing a good thing, but because of the way he did it and his demeanor and his actions all the way through, yeah, it just turned him into this despicable heel. He was amazing though. Great, what a
Yeah.
great run.
Then I'm going
So,
to then it's my turn. It's my turn, sir, because
oh,
you
fine, we're
went.
switching it up, are we? You can go
Yeah,
first this time.
yeah. Let me go first,
All right, fair enough.
and I'm going to cheat a little bit because I was about to grab the promo that he did with me, is the I have a family promo, but then I was like, yeah, that moment was great for me, but that's more about the Miz that about Brian. So for me, I'm going to go a little bit back. Let's go back, and let's have Kane and Brian going to therapy.
Oh god, these segments were so good.
And you know what the worst thing is that we are never going to get that kind of humor, because I think that's Brian Danielson kind of humor. It's the same as the YouTube shows where he was obsessed with bears and he wanted to wrestle a bear. And yeah, I think that's the other side of Brian Danielson, that he was very funny and he really says like really crazy stuff. And you if you think he's a very serious wrestler, because when he wrestles he's a god in the ring, then you hear him talk, and like, he doesn't take himself very seriously, and that's what is amazing about him.
This stuff with Kane was amazing. This stuff got him over, I think, to main event level. I think everybody realized that we don't just have a great wrestler here, we have a guy who has great charisma and a great character and is great on the mic.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Every time they had the tag team championships, they would just scream in each other's face, "I am the tag team champions." No, I'm the tag team champions.
Yeah,
It's hilarious, hilarious stuff. And that made a certain Dr. Shelby very, very famous in WWE
yeah, for
folklore.
sure.
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
your moment? What's your moment then?
No, it was a great choice. But so my next moment is I have picked a specific moment from a Raw in 2013. I don't know if you remember this, Alfonso. So Randy Orton and John Cena were set to face off at TLC to unify the WWE and the World Heavyweight
Yes,
Championships.
yes, I remember. Let me have a guess. Is when you have all these champions in the ring. You have
Yeah,
your CM Punks, your Mark Henrys, your John Cena's, your Randy Orton. You have the authority there. You have Triple H. You have everybody was there, and people
yeah,
were only chanting his name. You can see CM Punk smiling in the back because he knows that they're screwed because of that, because they
yeah.
know Brian is going to get over, because the people want him to get over. And that's the start of the big yes movement.
Yeah, that is exactly the moment I'm talking about. The whole match, they're trying to promote is Randy Orton versus John Cena. You have a load of ex champions in the ring, like you said, and nobody gave a shit about Randy Orton and John Cena, and the crowd hijacked Triple H's promo, trying to really elevate this amazing champion versus champion match. Nobody cared because all they were chanting was Daniel Bryan, and it oh my god, it just gives me goosebumps thinking about it because it's such a great moment where the crowd just think we don't want any of this. We don't want John Cena. We don't want Randy Orton. We don't want the Authority. We just want Daniel Bryan. And I think it was a pivotal moment in them switching gears for WrestleMania 30. Now, Alfonso, I'm going to go next because my last pick sort of transitions into my next pick, my fourth pick for this.
Oh,
So I've got a similar moment. Wow, I'm going to say I've written it down as Daniel Wyatt.
oh, I know
Do
what you
you
mean.
remember Daniel
That's one
Bryan as
of
part of the Wyatt family?
that's one of the biggest pop ever at Raw
Yeah, it
because they
is.
were in Washington, I think, and that's Brian hometown. And yeah, I think that was one of the moments that they was like, oh my god, Brian is amazing, but are they seeing what Wyatt can do with people and how
Yeah,
he can tell stories with them? And yeah, I will have loved to like have that storyline go a little bit further, more time. But you had WrestleMania around the corner, and yeah, things happen so fast. But tell me more about that.
I mean, this was perfect. So you had the Wyatt family were just beating the hell out of Daniel Bryan every single week, and Bray was saying, well, "This is going to keep happening until you join us." And Bryan eventually gave in and joined the Wyatt family begrudgingly. It was a cool little story for a few weeks. You know, he was dressed up in the Wyatt family gear. He ditched his old gear, and then you had a match in a steel cage between Bray and Bryan, and Bray asked him to lay down, and Bryan stood up and refused, and the crowd went absolutely batshit crazy. He then started kicking the shit out of Bray in the cage, and then walked up to the cage and stood on top. Well, he sat on top and did the big yes chants, and the whole arena was there with him. It was one of the loudest reactions you could ever hear. And following on from what my previous entry was with the Raw in 2013 to this one, those two moments, I think, solidified his WrestleMania main event match at WrestleMania 30. I think the office and Vince said, you know what, we can't ignore this. This is too much. Look at the reactions he's getting. We have to put him in this match. And I think it's a pivotal moment and an awesome moment as well at the same
So,
time.
so before we go to your last pick, and I think we already know which one is going to be because it's going to be the Miracle on Bourbon Street. And before that, I just want to say something about Brian Danielson and all this run because I think it's amazing how people managed to boo Rey Mysterio. You know, Rey Mysterio, he's a legend. He's loved by everyone, and people were booing
You're talking
him.
about the 2014 Royal Rumble match, aren't you?
Exactly.
Yes,
And yeah, but yeah, I think when we talk about the Daniel Bryanson story and we go to your last moment, and it's also one is my fourth moment, is the Miracle on Bourbon Street.
of
Is
course.
is the greatest main event I think for WrestleMania. One of the greatest. I don't know if it's the greatest, but it's one of the greatest moments because for me wrestling is the most pure when they make grown people cry. And I cried that night.
Yeah.
And when I saw Brian lifting the titles, I was like, oh man, he did it. He did it. Because you know that WWE can do things just to mess with people. And he could have done that just to, like, you can have, like, Triple H in the main event, and you can have Triple H against Batista, against Randy Orton in the main event, or something like that. But no, they went with Bryan, and the Jets movement needed that moment, and he needed that like huge WrestleMania. And when we talk about WrestleMania in the last 20 years, you have to put that name there. And he's in a lot of people Mount Rushmore because of that moment. Because if it didn't happen at WrestleMania, he's not on the GOAT conversation.
Yeah, completely agree. You're right, Alfonso. This is obviously my number one moment from Bryan Danielson's career. It's one of the greatest WrestleMania moments of all time. You said it perfectly yourself. The great story of a underdog babyface that the crowd want to see succeed, rising up and fighting against the superstars, the big guys, the muscly guys, the guys who never lose, and beating all three of them in the same night. And you're right, because it was 2014, this was an era where Vince McMahon was like, I don't give a damn what the fans think, I do what I want. And we could have easily have seen Triple H beat Daniel Bryan in the first match of WrestleMania 30 and go on to the main event. But we didn't. And we got one of the best matches and best moments in WrestleMania, certainly over the past 20 to 25 years, if not of all time. What a feel good, amazing, happy moment. And that's how you want your WrestleManias to end. And the
Yeah, for
whole
sure.
crowd, the crowd exploded when he won. And
Yeah.
everybody was yesing. I remember I watched it live and it was an incredible moment. So yeah, that's
But
my number one. Nothing comes close to a miracle on Bourbon Street, as Michael Cole said. So
I mean,
interestingly, that's your number two, Alfonso, because please
no,
tell me.
but because I didn't went for my favorite moments. I went just to like 5 moments, to be honest with you, because I think that the top one moment is that one. But I also wanted to add an extra moment because his AW run has been great and is being great. I don't know if he's going to continue in AEW or what, but he had an amazing run in the AEW. He had an amazing kind of matches. He went to CMLL to fight to face his idol in Mexico. And I think that's lovely because he loves wrestling. He faced Zack Sabre Jr. again, and we rejoice a lot. But I think one of the moments for me that I was like stunned because I was like, oh man, he really just wanted to go and bleed again because he wanted to go physical again. And he's Brian against Kenny Omega and at AEW Grand Slam 2021. And that 30-minute match, that 30-minute draw was amazing. Like for me, like the storytelling inside the ring, the wrestling skill and the storytelling, like I said, the storytelling again. But yeah, the stamina and everything. Like for me, it was one of the most perfect kind of matches in ring style. How I don't know how to explain it, but I was in awe because we already knew who was Kenny Omega, but I was always wondering, can Kenny Omega have a main event at WrestleMania one day if the stars align? And that moment told me yes, he can do that because it depends on how the wrestlers tell stories inside the ring. And that night, Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson told an amazing story inside the ring. And it was a draw, yeah. But now, if you think about Kenny Omega, that is one of his last like great matches because we don't know if he's going to come back after all his injuries. But if he doesn't, he has that match in his career. And that's one of the greatest things that he has done with Bryan Danielson.
Yeah, it's a great pick, Alfonso. It's probably one of the best matches in AEW Dynamite history. Danielson obviously arrived in the company in 2021, in autumn of 2021, and Tony Khan wasted no time giving us that match because everybody was talking about it. Danielson versus Omega. When are they going to do it? What a dream match! And they did it quickly, and it was a fantastic match. And a period where AEW was really, really hot as well. Like, um, yeah, it's a Danielson. I didn't include any AEW moments in my list. Not because he didn't have great moments, because he did. Him winning the World Championship at Wembley Stadium was an epic moment. I just think Danielson went there and he was able to work the kind of matches that he probably wanted to work in WWE, but he couldn't because of the style. Like you said, he wanted to go there and bleed, and he couldn't do that at the time in WWE. And I think it was a really nice little run in AEW for him personally, because he got to do some of the dream matches that he never would have got to do, and got to wrestle a style that he really wanted. But for me, it was
And he
in
went to
terms of
Japan.
like,
But wait a minute. He went to Japan. He went to Mexico. He did all he wanted to do because he's one of the greatest of all time. It doesn't care if you are in AEW, WWE, New Japan, CMLL. If you want to start a company, a wrestling company, you can grab a Daniel Bryanson and you're going to be okay because he can be your top heel, he can be your big baby face, or he can just showcase in ring style every single week, you know?
yeah, I completely agree. He's so good at everything. And you made the comparison earlier in the episode about Kurt Angle. He's very similar to Kurt Angle. This machine in the ring between the ropes. An amazing babyface, an amazing heel. His comedic timing on the mic, his charisma, his underrated charisma. He can do everything. And it has been an amazing career. It's been a privilege to watch someone like Bryan Danielson wrestle. And I hope that he comes back one day for at least a retirement feud or a retirement match. And this isn't the last we see of him. If he was to come back, Alfonso, for one last little swan song before he finally rides off into the sunset, who would you want him to have a feud and match with to finish his career properly? Like, he's done, completely done.
Do you want to ask Alfonso, the guy, or you want to ask Alfonso, the wrestling analyst? Because I have like two different kind of answer for you.
Give us both your answers then, quickly, yeah.
Because if I talk about the heart, obviously I want that big main event that we never got. CM Punk against Bryan Danielson at WrestleMania main event. You have CM Punk as the champ. Bryan wins the Rumble. He goes to have that one last big match at Mania against CM Punk. And we have that indie darling main event that we all want to see one day.
This is my exact pick. And we're both obviously mad CM Punk fans, but I think this easily could have and should have been a main event of WrestleMania in like 2014, 15, maybe 13, that kind of era.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate indie dream match, isn't it? The two indie darlings that rose up the highest and had the most success.
And you know how you do the storyline? Punk is very angry because he fucking fired him after the Wembley incident. So yeah, I think you
Oh,
can go a
dude.
lot of ways. You can go a lot of ways with that match, but I think I just want to say thank you to Daniel Bryan because I had enjoyed a lot of matches, a lot of moments, a lot of promos, and I want people that are hearing this episode to share those moments with us because I think people are going to say maybe is Bryan against at SummerSlam against John Cena, or
Yeah.
maybe is the heel turn of Triple H inside the ring because that moment was great as well, and you
Or
have
his comeback in 2016.
or his
Um,
promo with the Miz. You have a lot of
yeah,
moments that you can
his
pick from.
retirement, his initial retirement speech. That everybody was just in the arena was just crying because he announced his retirement. Like you said, loads of moments. So yeah, please guys, let us know your favorite Bryan Danielson moment in the comments. Let us know on Facebook as well. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Ringside Ramblers, and please like and subscribe to the Ringside Ramblers on YouTube. And one final word before we go. Like Alfonso said, thank you to Bryan Danielson for the most amazing career. And Alfonso, thank you to you for this episode. And
Thank you.
it's been a pleasure. Love talking about him, one of the GOATs. And yeah, we will see everybody next time for another Ringside Ramblers podcast. Ciao, everybody.
Ciao.